Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today is to take a stack of the most crucial economic and geopolitical intelligence, straight from the front pages, and give you the ultimate shortcut to being well informed. We're looking at some intense pressure points facing a major Asian economy right now, focusing on four key areas: a huge corporate restructuring deal, a really grueling week of high-stakes diplomacy, China's aggressive new tech strategy, and a major shift in the domestic M&A market. It's a lot to cover, but we're here to unpack what it all means.
It really is a snapshot of global volatility, isn't it? And what's fascinating is how these domestic stories, like this crisis in the petrochemical industry, are fundamentally driven by, well, international forces. We probably have to start there.
Yeah, let's do that.
With this deal that signals an era of almost forced consolidation in one of the region's biggest manufacturing sectors.
Okay, let's unpack this big deal in Korean petrochemicals. We're talking what? An estimated 12 trillion Korean won worth of assets being integrated between Lotte Chemical and HD Hyundai Chemical.
That's right. Huge numbers.
And this isn't just like standard corporate maneuvering. Our sources say this is being called voluntary restructuring number one. The government basically mandated a 20% cut in domestic ethylene production because of this massive Chinese oversupply. So how voluntary is it, really?
Yeah, voluntary might be stretching it. It's a bit of both, maybe, but mostly survival, I'd say.
Yeah.
The core of it is integrating their naphtha cracking centers, the NCCs, within the Daesan Industrial Complex.
Right, the NCCs.
That's the engine room. It's where they break down crude oil to make ethylene, which fuels the whole industry.
Yeah.
And that's precisely where the overcapacity problem is hitting hardest.
Okay, so how does this integration actually work structurally? Because HD Hyundai Chemical is already a joint venture, isn't it? Like 60% HD Hyundai Oil Bank, 40% Lotte Chemical?
Exactly. So the facility isn't just being bought outright. It's more like it's being merged into that existing JV structure.
Yeah.
Lotte Chemical contributes its other Daesan facilities as an in-kind investment, so assets, not cash. Then HD Hyundai Oil Bank pumps in extra cash. And the aim there is to make sure the equity stakes between the two parent companies end up much closer to equal in this bigger merged JV. It's a very complex financial dance, really, designed to spread the pain and, share the future risk.
Right. But even though they've agreed, getting it done is another story. Our sources flag some pretty big hurdles. This isn't just shuffling papers on balance sheets.
No, definitely not.
It needs the government to sort out Fair Trade Act exemptions, figure out the tax situation for the new entity, and make sure the banks actually deliver the funding they promised. If it's so urgent, why are there still these regulatory walls?
Well, because restructuring something on this scale, 12 trillion, it inevitably bumps up against national economic policy. You
Right.
can't just merge two massive competitors without, potentially triggering monopoly concerns.
Right, that makes sense.
Hence the need for government facilitation. But this Daesan deal, it has this huge ripple effect. It seriously turns up the heat on the other big players, LG Chem, SK Geocentric, who are trying to hammer out their own restructuring plans in Yosu and Ulsan right now.
So the clock is ticking for everyone else, too.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
The word in the industry is that while the government wants final plans by year-end, those negotiations really need to wrap up by the end of next month, November.
Just to give the regulators time.
Exactly. Time to coordinate all the necessary government support and the legal tweaks. It feels like an all-or-nothing moment for the whole sector.
Okay, from that kind of intense industrial pressure, let's pivot pretty sharply to the dizzying world of international politics.
Right.
President Lee's multilateral diplomacy super week. I mean, you look at the itinerary, and it's not just a trip, it's like a high-wire act.
It's exhausting just reading the schedule, honestly.
Right.
Starting today, he's off on a full week of just intense foreign policy stuff. Kicks off with 2 days at the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur.
Malaysia, right.
Yeah, including bilateral meetings with Cambodia and Malaysia. But that's really just the warm-up.
And the main event starts basically the second he lands back home.
Yeah.
He steps straight into the role of chair country for the APEC summit in Gyeongju. CEO summit's on the 29th. Main sessions run through November 1st. And that little window is just packed with the highest stakes meetings you can imagine.
You really can't overstate the tension in that scheduling. October 29th, he hosts President Donald Trump for the ROK-US Summit. Then, just 3 days later, November 1st, he holds a ROK China Summit with President Xi Jinping.
Wow, back to back almost.
Pretty much. And they're also trying to coordinate a meeting with the new Japanese Prime Minister, Takaichi Sane. trying to host the U.S. and Chinese leaders in such quick succession, especially with current global friction. It's a massive geopolitical tightrope walk.
The optics alone are huge. It makes you ask, what's the vision here? What is the presidential office trying to project by putting themselves in this, well, really challenging mediator role?
They're framing this whole Super Week as creating a new leap forward for diplomacy. The focus is on rebuilding trust and cooperation with the big regional powers. President Lee actually spelled this out in an interview with the Straits Times. He said Korea wants to act as a bridge.
A bridge?
Yeah, a bridge to ease tensions in Northeast Asia and promote common prosperity.
Acting as a bridge sounds good, but doesn't that automatically risk, making both sides a bit suspicious? How do you evolve the U.S. alliance and maintain friendly, developing relations with Beijing at the same time?
That is precisely the core challenge, isn't it? The official line is they aim for both. Deepen the alliance with the U.S. into this future-oriented, comprehensive strategic partnership, while at the same time rigorously maintaining friendly ties with China. It's a strategic balancing act.
Trying to have it both ways.
Or trying to maximize Korea's interests, economic and security, without being forced into choosing sides in this growing power struggle.
Yeah.
The success of this week, I guess, will be measured by whether they get tangible progress on both fronts, without really alienating either superpower. Big ask.
Okay, let's shift again. From diplomatic balancing to maybe technological warfare, specifically focusing on China. We saw the results from the Communist Party's fourth plenum, signaling a huge shift in tech ambition.
Yeah, a definite shift. China's moved beyond just talking about self-reliance. Now it's about achieving a core technology breakthrough. This is explicitly about competing, like head-to-head with the U.S. in next-gen tech.
Okay.
The NDRC, the big planning commission, they laid out the focus areas: quantum tech, biomanufacturing, hydrogen, 6G, and interestingly, embodied intelligence and brain-computer interfaces.
Those last two sound almost like science fiction, a real leap towards next-gen computing and AI hardware, right? And then, almost perfectly timed, the same day this policy comes out, Alibaba launches a physical product, these Quark AI glasses.
Exactly. It's like the perfect manifestation of the policy shift. Alibaba's basically integrated its own large language model, Quinn, and the Quark AI assistant right into these smart glasses.
So they're not just glasses.
No. They do hands-free calling, real-time translation, meeting transcription. They're essentially moving the AI brain out of your phone and, well, onto your face.
But the real story here seems to be the price. It's not just a tech step. It's an aggressive market play. Standard price is around 950,000 KRW, but the intro price, probably for Singles Day, drops to about 746,000 KRW.
And that is a direct shot at Meta. Meta's smart glasses, the Ray-Ban ones, start at $799 US, which is closer to 150,000 KRW.
Big difference.
Huge. Alibaba's offering something functionally similar, maybe even more advanced for the AI integration, for the equivalent of around 660 US at that discount. CNBC picked up on this aggressive pricing right away. It shows China is leveraging its manufacturing muscle to compete on price from day one in this AI hardware race. The core technology breakthrough isn't just talk, it's meant to grab market share immediately.
Fascinating how tightly state goals and corporate moves are linked there. Okay, finally, let's look at where the money's moving. Specifically, big M&A deals here. Our sources are reporting a major reversal. Global private equity funds, PEFs, are now dominating the Korean M&A market for big deals transactions over 1 trillion KRW.
Yeah, the reversal is pretty stunning, and the key mechanism seems to be their access to massive debt financing leverage. This year, global PEFs have clocked 7.87 trillion KRW in these big deals. That's almost 2 trillion KRW more than domestic PEFs, which managed about 5.9 trillion.
Wow, that much of a gap.
Yeah, and just last year, domestic funds actually had a slight lead. So it's a really dramatic shift in who's buying up major domestic assets.
We're seeing more deals like that huge 4.85 trillion KRW sale of Digi Airgas, right? Which was purely foreign to foreign Macquarie selling to Air Liquide, even though the assets are here. So why are domestic PEFs suddenly struggling to compete for the biggest prizes in their own market?
It looks like a classic case of what they call regulatory arbitrage. Domestic PEFs are facing proposals for tighter rules on their debt deals, more reporting requirements, things intended to boost stability and transparency.
Okay, sounds reasonable.
Sure, but the issue is global PEFs operating internationally aren't subject to those same domestic constraints in the same way.
So the local players have tighter rules on borrowing, while the global funds can come in with these highly leveraged, complex debt structures that the domestic funds just can't match anymore.
That's pretty much it. That difference in regulation gives the global players a massive advantage when they're structuring these huge trillion-one-plus deals. They can simply use more debt to bid higher.
This sounds like maybe a short-term win for getting deals done, getting liquidity, but are there longer-term worries about who really benefits?
Yes, there are significant concerns being voiced by people in the industry. Global PEFs, typically their model is geared toward shorter-term profit. They buy an asset, maybe streamline it, boost profits quickly, and then they exit within a few years, taking their capital gains.
Right, the classic PE model.
Exactly. So the worry is that these investments aren't necessarily guaranteed to boost, say, long-term domestic industrial growth or create lasting jobs. You're seeing major domestic assets change hands, and often the profits flow overseas. It leaves this question mark over the real long-term benefit to the national economy. Finding that balance, attracting foreign capital, but making sure it actually contributes meaningfully, that's the real challenge now.
Right. We've covered four pretty critical pressure points today: the massive petrochemical restructuring, that diplomatic tightrope walk, China's immediate application of its tech policy, and this big reversal in the M&A market. If we try and connect these dots, the central theme seems pretty clear. South Korea is really being shaped, maybe even redefined, by global pressures right now, whether it's Chinese oversupply forcing consolidation, geopolitical rivalry demanding tricky diplomacy, or just the hunt for yield leading to these regulatory battles over capital. The next few months really feel like they'll show whether these external forces ultimately strengthen the economy or perhaps just make it more vulnerable. Next time, we will find you with quick news. This has been Economy Young from the Seoul Economic Daily. Thank you.